Hi, everyone. It's Saturday, March 28th. This is your daily update. I've been thinking a lot about the idea of scarcity. There's a lot of talk economically that people in our country and around the world are worried about the economic impact that we're seeing from the coronavirus spread and the loss of work, the loss of income, the closure of small businesses, and that a lot of people are looking over these next months ahead and wondering whether we're going to have enough money for our families, for our organizations, for our businesses to be able to survive. And rightfully so, a lot of us are thinking out of the concept of scarcity, that we have lost something and we're worried that we may not have enough. From a spiritual perspective, scarcity can be quite damaging. When we begin to believe that we don't have enough, we begin to get tunnel vision of focusing too much on how do we protect ourselves or protect our families or protect our possessions or our money. And in fact, that tends to close us down and make us more fearful and make us even more isolated in our perspectives and how we relate to one another. When we think about how do we respond to times of scarcity like this, our spiritual disciplines always guide us back to the idea of generosity, of being able to say, even though I may be thinking about whether I have enough, to be able to trust God or trust a source of provision for us, and to be able to say, you know what, I will have enough. I'm going to share with others who are in need. That does something for us in our spiritual life, our inner life, that can't be done by any other act. By sharing of our lives and sharing of our possessions for the sake of others, that invites spiritual transformation and spiritual change for us. And we're seeing that in this time of scarcity, that people that are sharing what they have for the sake of others, whether that is financial donations, whether it's extra time on the phone or on FaceTime connecting with other people, whether that's sharing the material resources of masks or hand sanitizer, personal protective equipment for hospitals, or emotional support for people in our lives, the act of generosity is what is going to continue to keep our community and our world spiritually healthy as we go forward. And it's an important act for each of us to be able to look towards. Jesus always guides us towards acts of generosity, of not being too focused on our wealth or our possessions, but in fact to look at what does it look like to give our lives for someone else. And so I encourage you today, as you look through the email that I'm sending out, there are multiple ways to respond with generosity. You will see that there are ways to be generous for our congregation so we can continue to love, live, and give like Jesus during this crisis and after. There are ways to be generous with your finances through Thrivent and targeting your choice dollars towards Christ the King or towards other organizations in our communities. There's ways that you can be generous in responding to a need for hand sanitizer in our local hospitals, and you'll see that in the email. There's ways you can respond by being generous by buying from local small businesses and supporting farmers in our communities. You'll see that in our email today. There are tons of ways, not just from what I'm going to highlight, but also things that you already know that are happening. And today, I encourage you to ask, what does it look like to be abundantly generous, to live out that value that we try to espouse as a congregation? And how can you give your life and give some of your resources for the sake of others today? May God's peace be with you.